Joining me now is Republican congressional candidate for Arizona and former U.S. Navy Lieutenant Commander Dr. Zuhdi Jasser. Dr. Jasser, it's good to see you again. From the beginning, we know Biden has been on both sides of this argument. He and his Democrat Party have been all about tying one arm behind the Israelis' back for decades. Now, Joe Biden has facilitated, as you know, billions being pushed to Iran, the #1 state sponsor of terrorism, since he got into office. And now here he is saying, well, it's a big mistake for Israel to go into Gaza to remove all those terrorist elements there. In fact, that these Hamas terrorists just killed over 1,400 Israelis. That's kind of a byproduct. Can Americans or the Jewish state actually trust a United States of America under Democrat rule, do you think?
I don't believe so. I mean, if you listen to our supposed commander-in-chief, it belies any reality of how you fight a war. I'm not understanding at all how a president that considers himself a commander-in-chief would be telling the American people, let alone the people of Israel, that they're supposed to defend themselves against missiles, against forces that were paratrooping in and attacking women and children, and had maps and lists of where schools were, where festivals were. They were intentionally targeting civilian populations. Nothing military was done, and yet somehow they're supposed to stop this from happening again by not invading Gaza. They have to. It's a military operation that has to go in and completely decimate Hamas. God willing, there will be as little, effect on civilian population as possible. But remember, Hamas is as much the enemy of Israel as it is the enemy of the Palestinian people. They are cannon fodder for the Iranians, for the Khomeinists, for the radicals in the region. And President Biden sat in the basement and lit the match by basically telegraphing an appeasement policy from Afghanistan, where he withdrew with the tail between their legs, to Iran, the $6 billion ransom and the nuclear program. They wanted to light a match to end the Abraham Accords and end the normalization of relationship with Israel. And that's what they're achieving. And he's giving it to them now.
Yeah, pretty much. You know, Dr. Jasser, is a two-state solution even possible? I mean, with one side coming in and chopping up and killing children and doing what Hamas did with their access to the Palestinian territory. How do you see this possibility of a two-state solution? Is it even in the cards anymore?
You know, this is why I have not been in favor of a two-state solution, because you sit at a peace table with somebody that shares your same moral construct, that shares your same moral agency. They do not have that. The Palestinians need to have, I said this 10 years ago, where's the Arab awakening against Hamas that the Palestinians should have had? They did not have it. So if your neighbors, if your so-called second state that you're going to have next to you is a Nazi state that wants to redo the Holocaust, that has a genocidal charter that supposedly cites our scripture, which I don't believe is real, but they cite it and say that kill a Jew behind every stone. Until they reform that, they are not to be dealt with in a state manner. And this is why you have to defeat the ideology. The day of jihad taught us a lot that they had a few days ago, in which they were calling for jihad. So whether it's Al-Qaeda, ISIS, Hamas, IRGC out of Iran, these are not folks, these are non-state actors because they're terrorists and they don't deserve to have a state. And that's the last thing that should be on the table until the Palestinians defeat them from within ideologically.
Now, it's one thing to talk about the terror groups and their Jew hatred, but it's quite another to talk about. Now, you're a candidate for office, so you'll be facing a Democrat, I'm assuming, at some point. And the Democrat Party refuses to condemn by name members of their own party who are known anti-Semites. Even to the shock of CNN, they appear to be supportive of what Hamas did in Israel. We're talking about the likes of Cori Bush, Ilhan Omar, Ayanna Pressley, AOC, Jamal Bowman, of course, Rashida M.F. Tlaib. Does the Democrat Party have any credibility in your mind when it comes to talking about combating anti-Semitism when their party is the home of anti-Semitism in the United States?
This is why I've been trying to call out the sympathies that the red-green axis, the progressivists with the Islamists, and the harm it has on what America stands for. And our campaign is about renewing America's promise. America's promise is about not only standing up with our allies and for our allies, but standing for the principles of equality, of anti-bigotry, and the real diversity that should be part of who we are. And unfortunately, the far left, and Congressman Stanton is who I will ultimately definitely like to defeat here in District 4. And he has been silent when it comes to the anti-Semitism of Ilhan Omar and Rashida Tlaib. And Democrats need to own up to their own principles of diversity rather than identity politics, which it seems they use more as a bludgeon against the right rather than any real honesty about diversity. And right now we see what that sows. It sows hate, it sows war, and it gives folks that hate America, that hate the Jews, a green light. Because remember, the Black Lives Matter movement, for example, was driven by the likes of Louis Farrakhan and other anti-Semites. So this is not just simply a conjecture. This is a reality that the people of Israel now have faced and are at war with, and we need to defend them. And the Democratic Party needs to stand up for what America really believes in, which is equality and freedom for all.
Well, yeah, if the Democrat Party actually believes in that. And by the way, on BLM, not only are they a known Marxist group, not only are they a group dedicated to destroying the nuclear family, they came out with that controversial support of the paratroopers that went in and slaughtered those people at that concert in Israel. I mean, it is a disgraceful group, and they enjoy much love and support among the Democrat Party. Dr. Zuhdi Jasser, thank you very much. Appreciate your time.